The world is on the verge of implementing age verification laws. These laws are privacy and security breach, disguised as child protection. Don't worry, in this video, I won't just tell you what's wrong. We are going to bypass this together, from out of the system. This video is made with the support of Proton. In the first part, I will explain the dangers of this situation. Many countries are developing their own identity verification systems. The European Union is running a joint project on this. They want to see our identities through apps and find out our ages. That's what they say publicly. But behind the scenes, it's clear they are trying to kill anonymity on the internet. They want to trap us back inside their borders. Let's say a state decides to ignore international laws and control its own citizens. Fine, but what about the risk of a data breach? Even the smallest leak would expose the identity information of billions of people. That data would be passed around between companies and black hat hackers. And this isn't theory, it already happened. When the UK passes a similar law, over 70,000 people had to send ID copies to Discord. Soon after, Discord got hacked. Those IDs, those selfies, those documents, all stolen. So much for child protection. Do you think companies which already build systems to learn everything down to our walking gait would pass up an opportunity like this? Let me tell you what will happen. Authoritarian regimes won't care who accesses this data. Their real goal is surveillance. No matter what you call account, the state will know who shares what. This adds another barrier to freedom of expression, something that barely exists in those regimes already. Other countries will try to collect this data for their own companies. Because, as I have said many times, today's state structures feed corporations. And corporations will, of course, welcome the death of open source software. It will officially cement their monopolies. So in short, this isn't just about age verification. It's a form of identity trafficking and a project to erase privacy. There are some expansions. Estonia, for example, claims it can perform age verification anonymously without revealing other identity information. This isn't an unknown accusation. Estonia already uses digital IDs, and scanning them can confirm only the requested information while hiding everything else. That's good news for my Estonian viewers. But what should the rest of do for security? The EU's new age verification app only works on devices that support Google's Play Integrity API. This automatically excludes Lineage OS, Kali OS, and even the European EOS. And guess what? The same EU app got hacked in under 2 minutes. Security researchers turned off fingerprint protection by editing a config file and resort the password attempt counter. The EU called it a demo version, but the researchers tested the latest leave code. So, the systems that's supposed to protect, you can't even protect itself. Even while the world under this siege, there are still same companies that don't leave us alone. My partner and biggest supporter Proton is standing with us on this issue too. CEO Andy Yan says these systems will be death of the anonymity. He argues they will turn the internet into a border checkpoint where you have to show ID everywhere, threatening free speech. He says the new laws are too broad to age verification should be limited only to adult sites and social media platforms. He proposes if we have to do this, let's do it right, with 4 privacy standards. First one, verification must be completed on the user's own device. Second one, the code must be open source for everyone to audit. Third one, data like facial scans must be deleted immediately after use. Fourth one, never show your ID to system, only send a zero knowledge proof that you meet the age requirement. Even if the law becomes mandatory, Proton says it will actively resist unless these standards are met and refuses to integrate into a central database. If those conditions aren't met, they will go as far as pulling their services from that region, implying they won't back down. Proton isn't just defending, it's creating its own alternatives. This might be the most comprehensive approach to the problem, the born private initiative. This project aims to give children a privacy-centric digital identity from birth. Proton wants to change the game by offering a parental control, privacy-focused alternative against the data hunters who collect children's data so they can access online. Spring-summer 2026 goals. They are preparing to integrate tools like Proton Pass into this fight, even if age verification becomes mandatory. The process can be managed as anonymously and securely as possible. The company keeps offering technical alternatives against the pressure of age verification required. Their goal: say if you hate to do something, let's do it without trampling on privacy and weaken the hands of governments by making these technologies the standard. Because the safest data is the data that never exists. Graphene OS is taking a much harder line. They have said they will not obey these laws. They will not compromise on privacy, and they will never ask for personal information, identity, or an account. They have announced that in regions where such laws come into force, they will stop selling devices preloaded with Graphene OS. However, the software itself will remain available for everyone to download and use. This isn't new for Graphene OS. Back to 2025, when French authorities demanded encryption backdoors, Graphene OS pulled its entire infrastructure out of France, even banning developers from traveling to the country. Today, thanks to their partnership with Motorola, they are in a stronger position. Together with Motorola, they are working to keep their devices and software usable in the rest of the world. It looks like most of us won't be able to get this hardware through legal means. Qubes treats your entire system as already compromised, so its core design simply doesn't include this kind of mechanism. Tails is built on forgetfulness. With its amnesic design, everything restarts after each shutdown. Even if they added such a feature, it would be useless. MX Linux basically says it's nearly impossible and refuses. The community discussion has solidified around the statements like it's not possible, we won't do it. Ageless Linux is a distribution created as a protest against these laws, with its own manifesto. Both Venderfoul Linux and Adenix GNU Linux have declared they will not implement any age verification. To avoid legal liability, they prefer geographic blocking. MidnightBSD added a clause to its license that says something like, residents of California aren't permitted to use this operation system as a desktop. That's where things stand right now. Unfortunately, I can't give you clear step-by-step guide yet. Once the enforcement begins, I will make another video on this topic and I will be able to speak more clearly. In my opinion, Proton offers the most realistic approach, but I am curious to see where the others, especially Graphene OS and Motorola, will end up. We will wait and watch. Also, for the worst case scenario, I recommend you install Tails OS on a USB stick right now. I'm Mert Tamtürk. The cyber world is anarchist, and we are not surrender it to anyone.